Hey guys. I haven't been live on here for a while and I was kind of having withdrawals. So I thought I would pop on today. And I'm just going to pull this up just in case any questions come along. But as many of you know, I am teaching this year at URI, which is awesome. Teaching in kinesiology. Hi, Ekta. Good morning. I'm teaching in kinesiology, which is the department I did my master's in. So it's really fun to be back. I'm loving it. So we've been talking a lot about mindfulness actually this week. I've been doing something called Mindfulness Monday with the students there. So just hosting a small meditation group. Good morning, Jody. Welcome. And I have been also just kind of incorporating it in all my classes. So we've been starting every class with a brief practice. And then for another job, I did a presentation this week on mindfulness for everyday living. And then I was just asked to be a guest speaker at another class on mindfulness. So I'm like, all right, I think that the integrative wellness community needs to hear about some of this today too. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about how mindfulness does affect so many aspects of our well-being. And of course, different ways to bring it into our lives because there are so many ways. So as I go through, just let me know too, guys, if you have any other suggestions or questions or comments. Hi, Mom. And let me know that you're here. And of course, like, share, help us spread the word, share love. Okay. So I'm not going to go too heavy into this. I do teach anatomy as well. So I love talking about the nervous system. But what I do just want to kind of show you here is that the autonomic nervous system is part of our nervous system, obviously. And basically, we have two main branches. Okay. We have the sympathetic nervous system and we have the autonomic, or I'm sorry, the parasympathetic nervous system. So you guys have probably heard this before. We have it's the stress response and the relaxation response. Okay. So this is what's happening in our body. So what we see, this is a section of the spinal cord. So our central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. That's basically what's calling all the shots in the rest of the body. Okay. So what happens is from our spinal cord, we have all of these nerves that leave the spinal cord and innervate or connect with our organs. All right. So what we see here is the nerves connecting to the intestines, to our muscles, to our skin. So our nervous system and what's happening there is sending all kinds of messages to the body. Oops. So this is a picture that's showing that each of those nervous systems, each of those branches, the different parts of the body that they affect. So the main key that I want you to kind of pick up from this slide here is the fact that we have these parts of our nervous system are affecting the same parts of the body. So stress is affecting the pupils of our eyes just as relaxation is, but they have opposite effects. Okay. So here we see this is just a really great visual of how stress and how relaxation can affect the eyes, our glands, our heart, our lungs, our digestive system, our kidneys, everything. All right. It's really affecting so many different systems of the body. And in this chart, this is just showing how each of these parts of the nervous system are affecting, again, opposite reactions on these different parts of the bodies. So the heart rate is going to increase when you're stressed. It's going to decrease when you're relaxing. It's the intestines, so your digestive tract is going to slow down and stop when you're stressed, and it's going to dilate and move a little bit quicker when you're relaxed. So what does mindfulness have to do with this? Well, mindfulness helps to bring some awareness of when that stress response is occurring so that we can have a little bit more control on how it's affecting our body. So let's think about cardiovascular health, our heart health, right? Thinking about our digestive health and our digestive system. So some people might get a little backed up, right, in their system when they're chronically stressed. Like it can have the opposite effect as well, maybe going to the bathroom a little bit too much. But different stuff is happening. So what's happening now when we feel stressed based on just maybe thinking about all the stuff that you have on your plate, thinking about the election, thinking about like all kinds of stuff, It's basically having the same effect as if you saw a saber-toothed tiger and you have to run for your life. So thinking about the things that stress you out, your body reacts the same way as if, again, there's an actual real physical threat to your life. Okay. So mindfulness helps us to recognize that this is happening. It helps us to bring the attention back to the moment, right? And it helps us to be present. So it helps us to calmly acknowledge what's happening, calmly acknowledge what's going on. We accept this, and then we can just kind of, I don't want to say let it go. It's not necessarily that we're letting go, but we're able to process it. All right. And we're able to actually tell our body that it's okay. You can calm down. So very powerful. And then this is the dimensions of wellness. So some of you may be familiar with this or may have seen this before. So this is basically, these are, different areas of your life that we want to be well for an overall general sense of well-being. So are you physically well, emotional, intellectual? Do you have a need for learning, creativity, your environmental wellness? How well are you interacting with your environment? Being mindful about your environment helps you to be aware of, how much waste you're using or generating, or how little you're consuming, things like that. So it really does affect all layers of wellness. And how it helps us on an emotional level is it helps us to regulate, right? So we're able to regulate where we're putting our attention. Because something, if you guys are familiar with anxiety and the pathology of anxiety, is we have something called rumination. Now, rumination is when we tend to dwell and overthink about the negative. We overthink about our worries. We overthink about all the bad stuff that could happen, or maybe even all the bad stuff that has happened. And your body's living in that state. All right. Your body's living as if there is danger right here, right now. And when we look at how that affects the physical body, it's not good, right? Your body is not meant to be heightened state of stress all the time. So mindfulness helps, again, to recognize when this is happening, and then to bring that awareness back to reality, back to right now, and back to the fact that hopefully you're safe, right? And you don't have to worry about that stuff. So essentially, mindfulness meditation, all it is, it's actually really simple. It's almost like too simple, right? All it is anchoring the awareness in the moment. That's it. So it's just closing your eyes right now, paying attention to the breath, following the inhale, following the exhale. And then as other thoughts arise, simply noticing, acknowledging, and then bringing the attention back. Okay. Now, I want you to know when your mind starts to drift and you start thinking about the other thing, that is 100% normal. That's okay. All right. That's going to happen. Where the magic happens with mindfulness is every time you bring the attention back to whatever it is you're focusing on, whether it's your body, whether it's your breath, whether you're looking at a candle flame and that's what you're focusing on for your mindfulness meditation, whatever it is, every time you bring that awareness back, it's basically like you're doing a bicep curl, right? So every time you bring the attention back, it's like another repetition, strengthening that mindfulness muscle. Okay. And rain, I'm not going to get into that too much, but that rain is basically, it's a technique, a meditation technique that helps with emotion regulation. So if anybody's interested in using mindfulness meditation as a way to really help deal with and get through emotions, look up rain. You can find guided meditations on it. It's a very, very useful tool. Tips to bring more mindfulness into your life. So find the time to practice. For a lot of people, first thing in the morning is the best time to do it. If it's not the best time for you, then what time is, right? Maybe every day when you're brushing your teeth, you're choosing to be present and being aware for 2 minutes, because that's how long you should be brushing your teeth, apparently. So, brushing your teeth for that feels, being aware. Actually, one trick on the note of brushing your teeth, of being mindful and aware, is to use the non-dominant hand. If you use your non-dominant hand when you're brushing, you really have to think about what you're doing, because you're not used to it. So anything you can do like that. Driving in the car is a great way to be mindful, to practice mindfulness. So maybe you turn the music off and you just really pay attention to the sounds of the car. Hopefully you don't have an annoying rattle. Paying attention to the road around you, the scenery around you, things like that. Great way. Okay. Reminders and cues to action. So maybe it's setting an alarm on your phone. Maybe it's having one of those little like meditation rocks that say like breathe or calm or something like that, having that like at your desk or wherever you are. That can be a great cue to action. And then experiment with different techniques. There's not one way to do it, right? It might be focusing on the breath. It might be a progressive muscle relaxation. It might be some other type of guided meditation or Reiki or something like that, right? It doesn't have to be just one thing. There are so many different methods out there. I was actually just talking with a student about square breathing. We do 2-to-1 breathing, right? There's all this different type of stuff that you can try. And a great way to experiment with different things is to try some of the apps that are out there. Calm is one, Headspace, Breathe, which they spell Breeethe. Somebody said this morning too, the Waking Up app. So there's a lot. Insight Timer, I think, is one of them, or maybe something else called something else, but it has the word timer in it for sure. But look at the apps. They're great cues to action, so you can set little alarms on them to say, all right, I want you to remind me to do this once a day at this time. So getting those notifications can be a good reminder. From a behavior change perspective, they're only a good reminder for so long, because once you start turning that reminder off enough times, it's not going to it's not really going to have a difference anymore. It's going to kind of bypass. So that works for a little bit. So it might help to get you started and get into a routine. Okay. So if anybody watching here knows me personally, knows my family, doesn't that kind of look like my brother-in-law, Gordon Knapp, just doing Tai Chi? I think it's hilarious. All right. Sorry. So, mindfulness and movement. So adding, being aware and grounding in the moment while you move is a fantastic way to practice mindfulness. So exercise is another evidence-based approach to help you manage stress, okay, to help you manage anxiety. So when we're aware and when we're mindful of what we're doing during exercise, it's like two birds with one stone, right? In fact, there are different types of exercises that are actually based in mindfulness, like yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, things like that, where they really are constantly bringing the attention and the awareness back to what's happening right now. So anything that you do, simply moving with the breath, breathing and thinking about your body as you stretch your muscles or as you take a walk, right? Even just taking a walk can be a very mindful activity when you're consciously being aware of what's happening around you. So I say simple movement with the breath, something as easy as literally inhaling to lift your arms, exhaling to bring the hands down, right? Just like that can really ground you, because it can be hard to sit still and to just think about the breath. I get that. All right. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just mindful eating. All right. So eating has a huge part, and nutrition is a huge part on your wellness in all different aspects for so many different reasons. Look at our last series on pain and inflammation and gut health and hormone health. We talk about nutrition all the time. So mindfulness and eating really make a great team when it comes to being well. So when we think about up until the point that you eat, really thinking about those signs of hunger, thinking about those cues for hunger, right? So am I hungry because I'm bored? Am I hungry because I'm stressed? Or am I hungry because I haven't eaten in a couple hours and it's time to eat again, right? While you're eating, being mindful helps you to really enjoy your food. So those of you that are like me and love everything about food and eating and have favorite everythings, mindfulness is a great time to really slow down and enjoy that time. And also it helps to send the signal back to your brain saying that, hey, I'm eating, I can feel full, right? Because what happens when we don't pay attention when we eat is it's like a bottomless pit, right? We can just kind of keep going and going and going and going. So also paying attention to what you're eating is going to tell you when you're full. All right. So actually one trick that I learned a long time ago, when you're eating, if you notice, you kind of take that natural sigh at the end of your meal. That's actually a cue that you're full. So if you find yourself doing that sigh, if you're paying attention enough to notice that sigh, that's when you got to stop eating. All right. It's time to push the plate away, put the food away. So, also, if you pay attention and you're mindful after you eat, you're going to pick up on really important cues that your body is giving you. All right. So, your body might be, telling you that you have an intolerance to a certain food, right? So maybe you just ate a donut or a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream or something. I bet you when you were mindful during it, it tasted really awesome, right? You were really savoring each of those bites, and that's great. But then when you're mindful, you pay attention to how you feel after. It's usually not very good. All right. Especially if you pay attention to how you feel after a longer period of time. If you have an intolerance, like you can't have gluten or dairy or something like that, and you eat something like that, your body's going to force you to pay attention to what's happening because it's going to suck, right? So if you really pay attention to how you feel, your body's going to give you those signals like, hey, feels good and this doesn't. And when you get in the habit of really being aware and really paying attention, you're going to find that you're naturally just going to be eating more nutritiously because you want to eat things that are going to feel better for you. When you notice that you're not feeling well, it's really behaviorism at its best, right? It's a reward, right? When you feel good after you do something is a reward. When you don't feel something good, it's going to be a punishment. So your body's going to react that way. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share that with you guys and give you a couple tips to be more mindful in your everyday life. It's not just a practice. It's not just all right, I'm going to sit down every day and be mindful for a couple breaths. Yes, that's part of it. Yes, that's going to help you get more relaxed. Yes, that's going to build your skill. But the magic really happens when you bring mindfulness into every other area of your life. All right. So, any questions or comments, feel free to post them. But again, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you like the video, share the video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.